the advancement of India as a hub of diagnostic solutions. India has made significant progress in recent years in becoming a hub of diagnostic solutions. With a growing economy, a strong manufacturing base, and a large pool of skilled professionals, India is well positioned to become a leader in the global diagnostics industry. Our next set of experts will deliberate India's role as the world's go-to destination for diagnostic solutions. Without further ado, let us welcome our panelists with a huge round of applause. I welcome Dr. Rajeev Gautam, Corporate Officer, HORIBA, President, HORIBA India Private Limited. Dr. Ravi Gaur, Chairman, Medical Advisory Committee, Unipath Specialty Laboratories, Founder and Director, DRD Pathlab, Principal Advisor, SpiceHealth. Dr. Mansi Aggarwal, Partner, Alkemi Venture Partners. Mr. Thomas John, Managing Director, Agappe Diagnostics Limited. Mr. Rupesh, Dagar, Chief Business Officer, Krsnaa Diagnostics. Dr. Mansi will be leading this session for us. I hand it over to you now.
So I'm sure like me, all of us are looking forward to this session. We have some very distinguished speakers and there's so many questions and I think 40 minutes is not enough.
I think before I answer that, you want me to do an opening batting and you have asked me a power play question. So I've been trying to answer that.
And I would expect a sixer.
So I think first, I would like to congratulate VOH. I think we are the last panelist, but the house is still full. So congratulations, and thank you very much for all the listeners. You have been very patient listeners. So I think what I want to answer it only, I will try and make it very crisp because whatever is the take-home message, I will only try and give you that rather than putting in details this thing. So Indian diagnostic space is definitely a growing sector, and we all admit that. Diagnostic is growing by almost a CAGR growth of 11 to 12%. The diagnostic market has seen a pattern shift in recent time. That's because of the technological advancement which has actually fueled the growth. In India, we all are aware we are the second world largest population country. To reach healthcare, largest, yeah, sir is confirming is the largest now. So I think to reach diagnostic services in every nook and corner, it's difficult. Let us admit that. But having said that, still we are making an impact in international market. Now that is mainly because of the blooming economy, what we have. That's one reason. Second is, there are a lot of startups is now entering into a medtech, which will take our diagnostic growth to a different level. I want to only say three things, which will sum up why I feel diagnostic is being competitive and why diagnostic is growing. Point number one, I feel there is a lot of untapped potential in e-commerce. So when we say factors like easy to use, convenience, home collections, home delivery, cash on delivery, and if this starts entering in our field, this will take the company to the industry to a different level. So this is point number one. Point number two, what I feel is there are a lot of initiative by government. I think this has been already touched by the earlier panelists also. When Mr. Sanjeev was saying the PPP will play a very big role. Let me just tell you, government is doing two things. One is they are promoting medical tourism, and second they are collaborating with PPP players. In fact, it's very proud to for me to say that Krsnaa Diagnostic is India's largest PPP player, We are present in 16 states and 2 union territories. We are having more than 150 installation of CT. We have 50 installation of MRI. Now that's talk about the huge infrastructure we have created along with the Indian government. Now Mr. Vasisht also mentioned about how we can use the hospital infrastructure and so I joined recently Krsnaa. So when I went to one of the setup in a government unit, PHCs and district hospitals, medical colleges. I mean, when the patient walks into the center, he doesn't believe, he or she doesn't believe, is this a government setup or it's a private setup? And that's the kind of infrastructure Krsnaa has created. Now that is what we need to do. Like Krsnaa, there are HLL, there are a lot of other players. I think more and more private players should start contributing in PPP projects. That will take the diagnostic industry to a different level. I mean, we have collaborated with HORIBA, they are our biggest supporters, with Abbott and with a lot of other Agappe, and so the idea is to give quality services. It's not just because of the cost, because the patient is getting testing free, we can do whatever we want. It's not. I mean, you can, doctors, we will confirm, the kind of technology we use, in all our setup. It's amazing, So I think that is second point which I want to make. Third point, I feel the infrastructure development. So in the way the tier 2, tier 3 cities are getting developed, that will actually push the diagnostic into will be more competitive. So these 3 points I really feel the entire potential of the e-commerce, the government initiatives and infrastructure development which will take to a different level. I think that's a take-home message. Thank you.
This girl said no, you are
That's very nice. And just shifting gears, we talk about opportunities. I want to shift to Dr. Ravi. And big question everyone has on their mind is, yes, there's a lot of opportunity in India, but what are the challenges that the diagnostic industry faces today, and how do you think they are being addressed?
we are making a
think,
group will join, okay?
good afternoon, everybody. We're moving towards evening. I think previous session, somebody said in the last session, I think yes, diagnostics start from the womb to tomb. Wherever we are, I think that's a big opportunity for us. Thank you for raising this very important point. This question. Challenges in the diagnostic industry are, if you look at the challenges, probably you'll find there's a whole dictionary out there. There's a lot of, and especially in the Indian context. Biggest challenge what I feel is, I think, is the providing the quality diagnostic services at the low cost. I think this is the biggest challenge. How do we address that? Something which is probably everybody's struggling. I think that was really possible, especially during COVID. But everybody, right from the policy maker, the devices, the manufacturer, region maker, the neighborhood quality control accreditation body, everybody hands together, wisdom together, and came out with a test which was absolutely quality controlled, centrally monitored. I think that kind of effort is needed here, and to bring down the cost and continue to improve this quality. That's the first important. Here my suggestion. More than 2 lakh labs which are working, I think, and probably building the accreditation lab. I think not even more than 3,000 labs are accredited today. Forget about the QAS program. I think hardly 10% of the labs may be participating in the excellent quality assurance program. I think it's very important to understand, let's have at least some kind of a mandatory regulation here. Or maybe adopt a bigger labs, corporate lab, a group of 10, 15 peer groups together. Come back, run a QAS program, at least you know amongst each other that you are providing quality service. That's the lesson we learn very hard. Now the second is accessibility and inequity. I think one of the things which was mentioned earlier also was we have so many pathologies, but if you look at the distribution, probably facilities right here in Delhi, bigger cities, when you go tier 3, tier 4, nothing exists. We are just working on some kind of primitive devices in the region, and there is some right till today. I think next is the skill. Skill without goals. We don't have skill. I think skill has to be how does this provide a skill? It's probably automation, training, developing new pathologists, technician. The answer to all this, I think the opportunity I give, I'm going to enumerate what Thomas right here, Rajeev is also talking about. I think it's about developing some kind of smaller devices made for India, point of care kind of a testing, which is hard in studying the Indian environment, reduce the cost, and that way because make it accessible. Because you can go to remote area, mobile kind of a lab, or probably something like a path cafe or an ATM. You just walk in, give a blood sample, and you have the report. At least, if not 100% kind of a conformity, but at least you can say, okay, I don't get qualitative, I get no quantitative and qualitative. This is normal, this is in the danger zone, and this is abnormal. Even if you can do that, I think that itself with the quality, that will work out. I think probably as we move forward in this mission. Then I think we need to have one good solution today, opportunity or challenges, because how to address this skill. That's something always talk about, digitalization. Radiology is advanced. We look at the digital radiology. Today, our radiologists are doing an exceptionally great job. We have reports, images flying in from US, various other countries, and we report it here. And same the other way. Why can't we do that in pathology? Digital pathology is a branch which is now coming up. There's a shortage of pathologists, like 7,000 pathologists. Out of that, only 3,000 or 2,000 report histology or cytology. If these images, scanners are there today, if we can make it happen, I think we will solve a lot of, I think, our solution at this can be addressed.
You are the awardee.
These kind of things. So I think these are multiple challenges, but I think all of us put together our brain and collaborate. We have in the forum right here, we have devices, we have somebody running a PPP. I must congratulate Krsnaa guys because they run a successful PP program. For many years, I think I have personally failed in running a PP program. We did something, never works out. But I think if you can do that, the collaboration in the right way, right technology, right devices, the right skill, we can go on. The challenges are there, but I think we can easily convert into opportunity using the technology, and the answer is nothing but simple collaboration and make use of disruptive innovations which are existing today, and we just put them into a quality manner, make it affordable, accessible to all.
That's a great leads me to my next question. Because you spoke about quality, skill, technology, and management, all of those together. And it seems like it's a challenge because it is not being done today. So my next question to you is, Dr. Rajeev, what are the most innovative diagnostic solutions that have been developed in India, and how have they impacted the healthcare outcomes in the country?
Thanks, Mansi, and I will pick up from where Dr. Ravi was talking about digital pathology. I think this is the IT-enabled diagnostics now. If you go to IVD industry for last 30 years, okay, not many tests has been included in the system, but the diagnostics has changed because of IT, because of digital pathology. And AI-based, cloud-based systems are available. I don't want to name one commercial because of that. But there are many systems here. There are many starts coming from that. I think that's the biggest. Just give you an example of how these things are changing now. There are certain lab chains and they are collecting the samples by drones. Maybe tomorrow, maybe reports, tomorrow maybe spare parts, other things. Okay? These are all the new technologies, but IT is the new oil from the diagnostic industry, and it will go a long way. And as Dr. Ravi says, to go to the villages, because where the India lies, it is only the digital pathology. You can sit in Delhi, you can report from somewhere else, and that's why doing it in Himachal. They have a PP project in Himachal, and a lot of digital pathology is being there. Pathologist is not there, reporting it in somewhere else, test is being somewhere else, collecting somewhere else, and I think that's the future.
I think, again, very important. And like you said, a lot of pathology is happening. And I just want to ask you, Mr. John, because you are obviously one of the pioneers in the space of developing IPD solutions, etc. So, what is your view on how the Indian diagnostic industry can address the affordability
Very good evening. I am Managing Director of Agappe and I am President of now Diagnostics Manufacturing Association. Thank you for giving me this opportunity. According to me, before coming to the answer, the Indian in vitro diagnostics market as a manufacturer or a supplier is about 15 to 16,000 crores, and diagnostic services industry probably 10 times. That means 1,50,000 crores to about 200,000 crores. So both diagnostics manufacturer or supplier as well as diagnostic service provider equal responsibility to make these diagnostic solutions affordable to Indian public. This is possible when we should know about the Indian context. India is the country where about 65% of the laboratories are located in the rural place. So, as a manufacturer or supplier, I should bring the diagnostics solutions which can be affordable or which can be useful for the medium and lower size of the laboratories. And this required, again, definitely a lot of involvement of joint partnership with the government agencies and a lot of domestic research programs, targeted pricing policies. For example, in India is a country where diabetics, cancers and tuberculosis are of very big issues. So definitely with the partnership of the government agencies and public, there should be a discounted pricing structure for this sort of diagnostics testing. Then second, there should be a good education program. Today, when I am talking about the diagnostic industry, about 20,000 manpower is working in the diagnostic industry. There should be a focus from the diagnostics manufacturers or suppliers to educate the new outgoing college students for a proper education so that they can give a good training or good solutions to the diagnostic services or laboratories. Then today's world, especially new medical device rule which has come, and the importance of the indigenization and localization is the prime agenda of the present government, and definitely that will address the affordability, or that will reduce the cost of the diagnostic testing.
Absolutely, and we're hoping to see a lot more Indian manufacturers come in this space. Again, competition is something that we talk about later. The question is actually now on what startups are doing, emerging startups. And Mr. Rupesh, and I will take this to you. What do you think are the role of startups and emerging companies in driving innovation and growth in the diagnostic industry?
So I think when we see diagnostic is basically classified into three categories: equipment, reagents, and services. Right? Now there is unimaginable growth happening in all these three sectors, which is actually pushing a lot of startup in the medtech companies. Secondly, post-COVID-19 pandemic has changed a lot of it brought a lot of changes in innovations, in funding, in payment policies, strategies, to add the health, the virtual health, multiple dimensions. The entry of a startup in the medtech is a game changer now. This is the one sector in the diagnostic industry, which is the medtech. And the startups are collaborating with the tech companies, and they're coming up with the innovative products. Even the emerging companies are coming up with the innovative technologies, product, and then taking diagnostic industry to a different level. The challenges with the medtech is definitely they are dominated by the imports, because Indian companies are still making Me Too products, but I think the new wave of startup in medtech is actually changing the things. And just to give an example, the few the diagnostic startup which are there in medtech, I think HealthCube is one. Then 𝗜𝗡𝗏𝗧𝗘𝗥𝗡𝗅𝗏 is one, which I think now HORIBA is taking up. So just to give example of 𝗜𝗡𝗏𝗧𝗘𝗥𝗡𝗅𝗏 machine, it is like an instrument where we have 40 installation now, and Mr. Dr. Rajeev was mentioning about it. Okay, we can't provide a trained pathologist, in every nook and corner of the country. But what we can do is we can provide technology. So give an example of Himachal you mentioned in Shimla, in Dharamshala. We had a case, 8-year boy who came, and immediately it was, we are using your 𝗜𝗡𝗏𝗧𝗘𝗥𝗡𝗅𝗏 only. It was reported cancer immediately because the team setting in the back end. Just because we had technology there, we tried, we saved that boy life, and the intervention was happening much more earlier this time. So this startup will can make a huge difference, right? In fact, the other startup like 𝗓𝗏𝗧𝗘𝗥𝗡𝗅𝗏 and there's a nearby health analytics also. So a lot of new companies are coming up. Then one more is the venture capital investment. I think Dr. Mansi is associated with them. I believe if you start funding more and more startups, this will take up the the medtech company to a different level. If you see the ratio of a doctor and patients in India is 1:1600, which is, if I compare with the WHO standard, which is 1:1400. Now what does that mean? That means we have a population of 1.3 billion. See the kind of potential these startup companies can have now, right? So I think its startup will definitely make a huge difference. Thank you.
I absolutely agree, and we've been looking for medtech startups to fund for so many years. In fact, I was outside and I was telling people, please, I'm here to give funding, please come to us and take funding. I clearly did not find any others. But Dr. Rajeev, as you were saying, telepathology is coming up, there are lots of services and products being added to each other. How do you think India is leveraging its expertise in IT and data analytics to enhance the development of diagnostic solutions and diagnostic delivery?
Thanks, Mansi. As I said earlier, the whole difference between IVD of 10 years before, so 20 years before, is the IT-enabled diagnostics today. And because India is a hub of IT and we are providing to the whole world with the IT, and with all these startups which are coming and talking about, which is talking about, all is coming because of IT-enabled startups. Otherwise, not going to happen. And ultimately, we connect this IT to the diagnostic. And my friend Thomas knows how to manufacture, how to use the IT, and how to make instruments listed. It's helping local manufacturing, and this local manufacturing is helping the whole industry to grow up from where they just now, maybe yesterday, Health Minister announced that we wanted to become a 5 billion in next 5 years. It can only happen by the local manufacturing. They wanted to make it a 5 billion from maybe 50 billion, sorry, from 11 billion now, from that perspective. So it is only IT-enabled local manufacturing which can make it there.
Absolutely, absolutely. And Mr. Thomas, we spoke about how does technology and how does manufacturing help in serving underserved population. But what about India becoming a global hub for manufacturing? How does India and Indian companies align themselves to global health priorities, whether it's sustainable development or environmental development?
Thank you, Mansi. Sustainable development growth is the agenda of the World Health Organization, and definitely India is the country where with the biggest population now. It should be the agenda, and it is the agenda. And for that, many things are there. There are many things are happening, and there is a very clear directions and focus from the present government also. And one of the things is doing education. As I mentioned, that education in all angles, and a lot of focus on the R&D, and there should be a lot of paramedical or the training programs to the people who are associated to the medical device or in vitro diagnostics manufacturing or services. Then a lot of localized innovations. because I can give you one example. During COVID, Agappe, that's the company which I am representing, we were managing about 70% of the COVID prognosis tests like D-dimer, ferritin and all. And in India, within 1 month, we could able to provide about 10 million tests. So that is possible because about 5 to 6 years back, we have developed a nephelometer which can be ideal for B class and C class laboratories in the rural place where common laboratories can test D-dimer and ferritin. Probably about 10 years back, only very big solutions were available which was costing about 20 times or 30 times. So we have not done something great, but what we have done that, we have re-engineered the technology to Indian context. Similarly, that sort of localized technology should come so that the definitely the sustainable development growths can happen. Then again, industry academia partnership, it's very, very important because India is the country where the academic institutions or universities are very, very strong. But I'm sorry to say that when Indian manufacturers, we are not utilizing that. And so definitely blame, I would say that blame to us, and definitely there should be a focus from the university also, because many of the postgraduate or research students, they make a lot of innovations, but that innovations all automatically die after they finish their college. So there should be a strong partnership with that, and that can, for that also, we are a company, we are working with IIT Delhi, we are working with Sri Chitra Institute of Technology, we are working with even different other institutions where we develop our own TB programs, TB devices, which is 1/10 cost of the present TB diagnostics testing. So industry academia partnership is very, very important. These sort of things can definitely add values to sustainable development.
And I think that's what India needs. India needs people like you who are batting for Indian startups to create and innovate. Just moving on to you, Dr. Ravi, I think some very critical points about innovation and what the partnerships can enable. But what do you think of, for example, new trends like personalized medicine? How are they changing the diagnostics industry?
I think the first I equal commerce sentiment. I think it's a industry, academics together, they have what is happening in university, it remains in university, never translates up to university. This, I think something started sometime I've heard about 2 years back in the government has made some efforts, but I think it should be actively, that's what really makes it different. Because solutions are there, but how to translate and bring it, implement the ground, and that's really not happening because there's no collaboration, good collaboration. Now that, coming to your question of personalized medicine, I think we had a previous session talking about personalized medicine. What exactly personalized medicine means? That means personally know two people. Like patient A has diabetes, patient B has diabetes. Disease may be the same, but A and B behave differently. Now that is what today is happening. This was possible because of this more happened in oncology, in cancer, where sequencing started, genomic studies, molecular pathology, biology started, because every cancer is what? Nothing mutation of the gene. I think we started doing whole genome sequencing of the tumor. We knew these are the mutations that happen. These are drugs which don't happen, particular mutation. So every cancer case is different. It's not like the lung cancer for 2 patients again. Every cancer patient behaves differently. Just to elaborate, I'll say that if there's a recipe kind of our disease. Now, if you put that recipe, give it to 10 different people, I think they will make similar food tasting different. That's exactly the personalized medicine. But this is applied to oncology. Today, it's already happening to many lifestyle disorders, chronic diseases. It's happening in diabetes and also because 70% people respond to metformin, and 30% people don't respond. What is the factor? Drug is the same, disease is the same. So there are multiple other factors, the genetics, environment, what you eat, all this put together. All this putting together, all the data, again, AI, analytics, we are all putting it together and making it happen in very personalized medicine or precision medicine. And that's where the diagnostics comes in. We believe molecular, and that's what we call as terms of companion diagnosis or pharmacogenomics. So there is definitely a role of personalized medicine, and it's grown. Last 10 years I've seen, I'm basically an oncopathology patient. Today, no tumor is actually treatment is started without doing a genome sequencing. They want to know what are the mutations, which drug going to work. You have seen the example today, chemotherapy now become almost painless. It's a daycare therapy. Earlier it used to be a lot of toxic effect. But it's basically a laser powered target therapies have been developed. The future definitely lies there. There is a huge now involved in India. I happen to work with one of the elected villages in UK, where the cost of a test called EGFR mutation, which is like for lung cancers, it was almost like close to about 900. In India, you'll surprise how much it costs. Same lab, same testing, accredited by American Pathology, the best global accreditation in the world. It costs almost 8 to 9,000, which is nothing. So that's something what we have. I think India is, now we propose to them, and I think the eyes opened up, how can you do this? But it's not that. There is a personalized medicine, is huge. When you apply to every new technologies, to oncology, lifestyle, even for preventive genome, arthritis, neurology, dementia, Parkinson's, all this I think knows, epilepsy even, it can define the drugs, which will work, and the cost. There is an opportunity, there is something called personalized medicine working very well, and I'm sure we can show the world. I think I like to say, instead of sending patient samples from India to outside, let's have a reverse medical tourism. What's really happening in the medical tourism? From the physician point of view, surgeon point of view. Why can't we get samples from outside in India and tested 1/10 of the power? Lastly, what's important is the sample type is also. No, it's not, nobody wants tumor tissue is one important point. But I want to have something from blood. I can't approach the tumor because it's surgery and it's a deeper tumor located deep inside. Or can be saliva. I think this is even for say for that fact, there are people working on cervical cancer or tuberculosis, or even from say the self-collection sample from say menstrual blood or own smear collection, oral mucosa scraping, brush, put it to the lid and send it across. And these are all becoming day by day, I think, advanced technology, getting more personalized, individual specific and beneficial. And India is no doubt going to be because talent exists. Everything exists, people are ready, but I think just a collaboration and putting all of them together and work on this. That's it.
I think there is so much opportunity in India, and I think, like you said, India has Indian skill, quality, and all of that. It looks like there's already a lot of infrastructure that exists for quality care. I do want to talk about the elephant in the room, which is what happens to standalone labs in India. What is their future? And I think with this we can actually end our session, but this question is to you, Mr. Rupesh. I know it's a very loaded question because we are all about consolidation and all about growth, but what really happens to the guys who are on the streets starting up, new doctors coming into this space? Where do they exist in the ecosystem?
So I think the clock says I have 10 minutes. I'll try and finish it early. Being a Marwadi, I want to save some time. Pardon me, I am a chief business officer, so I'll throw a lot of numbers, so please forgive me. Standalone lab, right? I mean, if you see the industry, we have 36% which are hospital chain labs in India. 16% are a diagnostic chain, out of which 6 to 7% are pan-India players. 47% is standalone lab. Now, that's a huge number, right? What will happen to standalone lab? So I think if you see the business mix, of standalone lab in terms of B2B and B2C, any regional player or any pan-India player will have 40-60 ratio. B2C will be 40% and B2B will be 60%. But standalone lab has almost, I'm sure they will all agree, 90% is B2C and 10% is B2B. Now that's the plus point the standalone lab has. Now having said that, a lot of individual labs, who have taken the business from A to M, now they don't know how to take it to Z. So then the M&A will come. M&A is actually changed a lot of industry. It is so this consolidation will happen in diagnostic also, and that's a good news also and bad news also, both. But I feel it will bring a lot of logistic bandwidth. They will bring a lot of technology, the capex, what a standalone lab needs, so that they can grow together in the industry. So the future is good for all of us, and I'm looking for standalone lab. So I think it's 8 minutes. I have saved 8 minute time. Thank you so much.
I'd like to add here the standalone. I probably see that the biggest challenge standalone lab facing today is keeping pace with the upgradation. I think that's the biggest. Because they require funding. Now you are from a funder investor. I think you're willing to invest 10 crore into a bigger chain. We don't want to invest 50 lakh in a small lab. I think this is where it is. I guarantee you, if there are, go to tier 3, tier 4, give these 100 labs 25 lakh rupees each, they can do better EBITDA delivery to you than one big lab. I think this is the mindset has to change. And this is going to work. Standalone lab, they are personalized, driven by pathologists. Ultimately, what matters is the man behind the machine. Machines are automated, quality control, but still we require an assurance from the person sitting there. My lab has been, results have been done correctly. Corporate labs are working, yes, fine. I'm not working because I'm also of labs. But I think we have to make them personalized and probably give them a right funding, a good environment, and they are the answer to our challenges today. Bigger labs can do it, but probably they want to pool everything and have 5,000 samples in one lab. That's also fine. But parallelly, this is something India needs, a combination of both, deliver to the last man out of the post.
Ravi, you have put the blame squarely on me, so I think that's a lot of pressure to take.
I have some points on the standalone laboratory against the centralized or these chain labs. India is the country where about 70 to 80% of the testing, now it's emergency testing, and but in the international level, the preventive testings are more prominent. And India is the country which is growing in population as well as the medical awareness. So definitely, by looking all these angles, standalone laboratories will give a big role, and the right examples are Japan and Germany. Before the unification, both the Germany put together about 20,000 laboratories were there. Today that became about 1,000 laboratories. But Japan, last 50 years, if you see that, still about 50 to 60% of the diagnostics tests are controlled by 4 chain labs, but still about 17 to 18,000 laboratories are there. So there is a great opportunity for the standalone laboratories, and it will grow and it will continue to grow.
Yeah, I think so. I think India is so unique by itself, and so many countries come together in one. I'm sure all models work and all models are sustainable. But I'd just like to thank the eminent panelists I've had. I think it's been a very engaging discussion for me, and I'm sure it's been the same for the audience. And I'd like to conclude this by thanking our VOH sponsors who've been very kind to invite us, Kritika and especially the rest of the VOH team. I think you've put together a brilliant lineup of speakers, a brilliant lineup of discussions, and I think at least I've thoroughly enjoyed my day. I'm sure it's been the same for everyone else. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Mansi, for moderating this session for us today. Can we have a big round of applause for our panelists for this enlightening discussion? Now I would like to take this opportunity to felicitate all the dignitaries present with us for this session. I would like Dr. Mansi to felicitate the co-panelists. Can we have the certificates, please?
Rahul, bad है यो.
Mr. Rupesh Dagar.
Rahul, bad है यो.
Can we have a big round of applause, please? Dr. Rajeev Gautam. Dr. Ravi Gaur. Mr. Thomas Don. Dr. 𝗜𝗡𝗧𝗘𝗥𝗡𝗅 to felicitate Dr. Mansi. I request the dignitaries to please stay with us for a group picture.
ओए बोल मुझे बैठे यार
Now it's time to thank the team who supported us behind the scenes for our 7th International Healthcare Conference with Medical Fair India for bringing this grand event together. I would like to thank our presented by partners Quick Smart Wash, international partner National Cheng Kung University, hospital partners Apollo Hospitals, Yashoda Super Specialty Hospitals and Narayana Health. Our supporting partner AMED and our corporate contributor Convertech. We wholeheartedly thank you for all your efforts for making this event a grand success. Now I would like to announce the most engaging delegate for our conference. I would like to welcome Mr. Karunanidhi Rajamani. Can we have on stage Dr. 𝗜𝗡𝗧𝗘𝗥𝗡𝗅?
Thanks for giving voice for the voiceless. In fact, I was given discount at your conference of your colleague Pinky. My request is that bring activists and also from the government side, so that India is a poor country. We spend very little on the health. India needs a health of wealth. So that once we become a healthy nation, we will really become a superpower. I hope that the next year all the younger generation will become more active than me. Thank you.
Thank you.
On behalf of Team Voice of Healthcare, I thank all the dignitaries from the bottom of my heart for joining us today. I request everybody to please come up on stage for a memorable group picture.
हट यार हट जल्दी हट पता ही नहीं है यार